So we are doing a lot in today's video. We are setting up 3 new aquariums for some small cichlids. We are unboxing 2 fish deliveries. We are moving fish around the fish room. It is a jam-packed video, so let's dive right in. So you may know that I have some large cichlid aquariums down here in my basement, but in today's video we are focusing on some smaller cichlid tank setups, specifically with some really cool dwarf cichlid species that I've really wanted, and those setups happen in my fish room, so let's go in there now. So one quick update here in the storage room. Obviously the 75-gallon tank has had my Cuban cichlid, which is an absolutely stunning fish, but does hide right back there in the middle of the driftwood, and I would like to maybe bring more activity to the tank and get him out of hiding with some dither fish. So I'm considering getting some giant danios to kind of swim back and forth up top, but I also need a place to put this guy. So if you had seen before, this is the banded leperinus, and this guy is awesome with some black and yellow stripes, just absolutely beautiful fish. But they get very large and they're known to be pretty aggressive fish. I needed to upgrade his tank size so he could continue growing, and I did need this 20-gallon tank for a shipment of fish that are coming tomorrow. So the plan is to take a bit of a risk and put this guy in with the Cuban cichlid in the 75-gallon tank. We'll also get some giant danios for that tank later, but I'm hoping aggression meets aggression and we're okay. He's a little bit smaller than the Cuban cichlid right now, but hopefully it'll all work out. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. So I'm not exactly sure what the sequence of the video postings will be this week, but I have 2 different fish shipment deliveries this week. One is right here, I've already opened. Some of the fish will be going to my tall aquarium, so the fish that we unboxed for that tank will be in that video, whereas I have some dwarf cichlid species and some really cool stuff happening in my fish room, and those fish will be shown in this video. So we already unboxed and showed one of the fish that will be in the tall aquarium in that video, but the other part of this shipment is right here. So I'm really excited to try out these really awesome small cichlids. These are Checkerboard Cichlids. They are South American cichlids, and they are one of the smallest cichlids you will find, but they are great nano fish. I got 4 of them here and they all look to be doing pretty well. And they'll also show some really cool checkerboard looking patterns on their body and some more color in their fins once they grow a little bit, especially the males. They get a little bit more color, but these are really cool kind of elongated cichlids that I'm really looking forward to trying out in my 20-gallon tank. I'm just gonna put them in there solo for now, and hopefully a pair forms and maybe we get some breeding. But yeah, I'm really excited to try these guys out. There's 4 of them in here. Hopefully we have a male and female. That's why I got 4 instead of trying my luck with just 2. So really excited for these guys. So I'll put these bags floating in their new tanks for about a half hour, and then we will plop and drop them into the tank and get a better look at them. Let's go. So these guys have been temperature acclimated. They have floated in the tank for about 30 minutes, so it's time to get them out of the bag and into their new tank. I'm going to turn on the lights here just so that we can see them when they first go in for the camera, but I'll turn off the light right after I get done filming here so that they can settle in. And like all online orders that have been in the bag for over 24 hours, it is a plop and drop method. This is what I recommend for all freshwater fish, and this is the most effective way to get them in the tank safely. Just take the net right here on the bucket and then pour the water into the bucket through the net, getting all of that bag water out and all the fish into the net. Little guys, you gotta double check. All right, here we go. We got Theo, our new kitten, very interested in helping me out here. All right, here they are, very small. You can see them kind of laying down at the bottom, pretty stressed out from the move. So we're gonna turn off the lights here in a second. But you can see their checkerboard pattern is kind of already there, even though they're faded out from being stressed. But hopefully we'll get some better footage of these guys a little bit later in the video once they're settled in. Go ahead and turn off the light. So day 2 of fish deliveries, and this one is from Imperial Tropicals. And again, I did make these 2 different orders because of the stocking availability and what I was looking to get for not only the big tank, but also my storage room tanks. So You might see the full unboxing of this in another video, but we're gonna go ahead and show at least one part here. Here we go. Always good to have the heat packs, especially when it's so cold out in February, and the bags are still warm, so that's a really good thing. And these are always shipped overnight, so I've never really had issues with any fish delivery. There are 3 total bags of fish in this delivery. One of them is for the big custom aquarium, and 2 of them are for this video. So the first bag here, pretty straightforward. These are cherry barbs, and these are good size, 1 male, 2 females, I believe. And I just wanted to add to the current school that I have in my 40-gallon tank and just bulk up their numbers to really have a nice pop of red and activity in that tank. And I think these will be perfect tank mates with some of the Dwarf cichlids and the full tank setup that I'm gonna have in that 40-gallon aquarium. All right, and the one I'm really excited about and kind of why I made the order from Imperial Tropicals, I've been on the lookout for this guy. It is a cichlid, a dwarf flag cichlid. So I've been on the lookout for one of these for a while. I saw them at a local fish store about a year ago, but since then, I haven't really been able to find them in stock anywhere, but finally got them in. They only had this one, so I went ahead and ordered it along with the other fish in this delivery just because I was already making a fish order. I thought, why not? So this is the main guy, the main reason for this order. And this is a small one, but they look beautiful once they grow just a little bit and color up. And this guy will kind of be one of the centerpieces of the 40-gallon tank. One of the peaceful dwarf cichlids to go along with the Rams. I think will be a really cool tank. Go ahead and get this dwarf flag cichlid and the 3 cherry barbs floating in their 40-gallon tank. Alright, here's the dwarf flag cichlid. Little guy. Real little. And the 3 cherry barbs joining their bigger family. Alright, we'll come back, check on the tank later. So here's the current state of the fish room. We got the 75-gallon tank, and luckily the Leperinus and the Cuban cichlid have done great together for about 5 days now. The Leperinus hides out a little bit, but he's going to grow up pretty quick, and the 75-gallon tank is going to be a nice upgrade in tank size for him. That assumes that the aggression between these two stays manageable. Then over here, the 2 20-gallon tanks. The top 20-gallon is looking pretty good. Some of the plants are starting to kind of take hold and grow, but we are actually going to be adding the Goldeneye Cichlids to this tank and another cipiece of driftwood and probably a few more plants. So I'll talk about that in a second. But then down here, you can see the 4 new Checkerboard Cichlids are doing great. They are super active, enjoying the 20-gallon space all to themselves. I had to kind of pile up the rocks and the driftwood to keep it down, but I'm gonna rearrange the scape here in a bit. I also added some salvinia to float on the top there, but these guys are doing really good. Very excited about these little guys. I think they're gonna just improve as they grow up and mature. And then as we go over here, the bottom 20-gallon breeder actually has babies in the tank. So the Gynnogeophagus pterapurpura, they breed constantly in here, and you can see the eggs on the side of the rock with the male, I believe, guarding the eggs on the rock, and the rest of the guys are terrified in this tank at the moment. But then as you go up here, this is the next thing we are going to change up. The 40-gallon breeder, we are finally going to add the substrate and rearrange the rocks, and we're going to move a couple fish. So you can see here, this is one of the female Goldeneye Cichlids. This is the other, and then right here is the male. So the male has kind of a more metallic sheen to it, whereas the females have a little more splotchy black. But if I get a substrate with these guys, this one will probably be a little more electric blue and kind of get less dull coloration and more vibrant color. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm going to get the male and the female that looks like they kind of hang out together a little bit more than the other female. I'm going to try that pair in the 20-gallon tank so that this tank will be left with the 3 awesome Bolivian Rams, the Dwarf flag cichlid, who has settled in over the last 4 days, and the cherry barbs, which I believe I have 16 or 17 of them now, and then 2 albino bristlenose plecos. So we are going to wash the substrate and then add it to this tank.
but I don't really want to add it to this tank with everything in here. Plus I need to move the Goldeneye Cichlids anyway. So the plan is to catch all these guys, put them in a bucket, and then put the sand in here around the slate of the driftwood, rearrange the rocks, plant the crib here, and we're also going to add more plants here. I don't know in this video or not, but we will see. And we also have a really cool light coming for this tank, so all that's going to start happening. Let's get that substrate washed. As I come out of the fish room, I got my two helpers here. You guys all know Rambo. Hey buddy. We got the new cat. This is Theo, our new kitten. He's playing with Rambo's tail at the moment, but we have Rambo and Theo. This guy's named after Theo Epstein from the Chicago Cubs, brought us the World Series, but they will probably be helping me today. Okay guys, so this is Carib Sea Peace River sand / gravel. It's like fine gravel but not quite sand. We got Theo here, the new guy, already helping me out or distracting me. But once we get this out of the box, take a quick peek at it, we will put it in this bucket, and then I will rinse it out a few times in the sink, and then we will start scooping it into the 40-gallon tank. Oh, there's a big 40-pound bag, and I'll show a close-up of this, but it does look pretty natural, and it's not as big as normal gravel. It's a little bit finer than that. The Bolivian Rams are micro geophagus, so technically they will sift through that substrate a bit, but not quite as much as actual geophagus. So not having that super fine sand should be no problem, and I actually really like the look of this. I think it will also look very natural to some of the South American cichlids environment. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this guy rinsed off and then into the tank. We got the tank draining, and I actually just stealthily, with a small net, caught the two Goldeneye Cichlids. So they are over here in the 20-gallon tank. I put an extra piece of driftwood and a Anubias plant. Doesn't look the prettiest right now. Some of the plants need to grow in and a few tweaks to make. But you got the male and the female. Looks like the female right there, and then the male, a little darker, less splotchy, and just a beautiful fish. They're gonna grow a little bit, not too much, so this 20-gallon tank is gonna be perfect for them. Kind of a nice aquascape eventually, and also plenty of space for them to hopefully breed and see that process through. With this tank, I am going back and forth on how I want to do this. I could take out the rocks and the driftwood. It would be really messy though, and catching all these barbs and everything is just going to be a mess. So I may attempt to just keep the water pretty low and put the substrate in that's been rinsed, and hopefully they'll be okay. I don't know exactly the best way of doing this without making a total mess. Shouldn't have done this process backwards, but that's kind of what happens when you have a lot of things going on in your fish room and quarantine tanks and things like this. Also, there are bristlenose plecos in here that I don't think I can get out cleanly unless I take the full piece of driftwood out. So we will see. So I ended up catching some of them, about 9 of the cherry barbs and 1 of the rams, but the rest of them are, like I thought, super hard to catch with the decor in here. I'm going to remove the plant and a couple rocks, and then go ahead and put the substrate in and fill it up as soon as possible, and hopefully it'll all be all right and not too cloudy, and they'll be fine even though they're just a little bit stressed. Oh yeah, that's gonna look good. So we got the substrate in the tank, and as expected, it is a bit cloudy. As the tank fills, it'll look a little bit less cloudy, and then the filters will help definitely. As the tank is filling, I add Seachem Prime, just dechlorinator, make sure the temperature is roughly what it was before, and then I'll also add Seachem Stability to help boost the beneficial bacteria, since I did make quite a bit of changes to this tank. And then I am also going to add the guys that I caught earlier back into the tank. The ones that were in here were definitely stressed out, so hopefully all will be good once everything is settled down and completed and we get a better look at the final product. Let's check out the current state of the fish room a few days later. Starting with the 40-gallon breeder here, you can see that the tank is looking great. It has cleared up really nicely. The cloudiness from the substrate is gone. Cherry barbs have some great color and activity. The 3 Bolivian Rams are always at the front of the tank, very personable and have some great color already. We have the one female Goldeneye Cichlid still in here, and then we have the new Dwarf flag cichlid. He's a little guy, but he'll eventually be the biggest in this tank. Not that big, but the biggest. And then we have two albino bristlenose plecos in here. I will be adding a few more things to this tank, specifically some more live plants. I have an order that is on its way with some more live plants that I'll add to this tank, as well as a brand new light that just hit the market. I will be adding it to this tank soon, so keep an eye out for that video. But couldn't be happier with the new substrate and the stocking of this tank. Down below, the 40-gallon breeder, we have the Gymnogeo Vegas that have eggs in the tank right now, completely destroy the tank every time they breed, and they're very aggressive protecting their rock. But moving on to the 75-gallon tank, luckily, the Cuban cichlid and the banded leperinus have coexisted. The leperinus also hides out a lot, sometimes behind the filter. I think he's a little bit scared of the Cuban, which is definitely bigger than him at the moment. But the Cuban cichlid is still hiding out a lot behind the driftwood. But anyway, it's kind of nice to have a new dynamic in this tank with the Cuban cichlid, which was only hiding out, so it's a little bit boring. But hopefully he will come out more and this tank will start to thrive a little bit better. But then next to that are the two 20-gallon tanks that I'm very excited about. First off, on the top, we have the two Goldeneye Cichlids, the male and the female. And I have some driftwood, a few dragonstone pieces, and some plants that have recently been put in here, so they're still going to grow in and hopefully fill out this tank quite a bit. I also added some salvinia that's floating on the top, so that should also kind of provide a nice shade and cover throughout this tank. But the Goldeneye Cichlids should really thrive in here together, and excited to see how they grow and maybe even breed in this tank. So more to come on this tank with the Goldeneye Cichlids and some of those plants starting to grow in and the aquascape filling out. But down below that we have the other 20-gallon tank, which has the 4 Checkerboard Cichlids, and I surprisingly love these guys. After just about 6 days in the tank, they've really been personable. They have a unique body shape and pattern to them, and I just really like their personality and their comfort in this tank. I did add some salvinia to the top here, so it has a few live plants, but these are fake on the left and right, and I just want to replace those with some live plants, maybe some Amazon swords and some other rooted plants throughout the tank to make this look a little bit more like a South American biotope for these guys and give them more cover. So all 3 of the new aquariums we set up today will be getting some more live plants coming very soon, probably early next week when that shipment arrives, and this aquascape will look a little bit better along with the other 2 that are still a work in progress. Much more to come on the Checkerboard Cichlids here. Just like the Goldeneyes above them, I'm hoping the pair forms and that we see breeding behavior and maybe get to see that process through with these really unique dwarf cichlids. I hope you enjoyed seeing the new aquarium setups and the new fish that we got for the fish room. Really excited about the new setups. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.